Hello and welcome, all friends and devotees of yoga and meditation and Buddhist studies. Today is September the 21st, Monday, September the 21st, and we'll be proceeding with the works of Grandmaster Ching Kong. For those who are watching my videos for the first time, I'll advise you to proceed to the websites attached. I've attached several websites to this video. You should proceed to those websites. That way to make it easier for you to follow us. I have there attached works of Grandmaster Ching Kong, and we are now reading book 3. There are 3 books I stress mostly in my teachings. The first is Buddhism as an Education, and the second is To Understand Buddhism, and the third is the art of living. The art of living, which is the current one. So if you may, you should proceed to part 2, page 19, on the art of living. And I'll proceed from there. Buddhism instructs us how to live happy and fulfilling lives. It was transmitted to China in 67 AD. 67 AD. And since then has spread and flourished throughout the country. However, anything that has been passed down for a long period can be expected to experience some distortion, and Buddhism is no exception. Originally, Buddhism was Buddha Shakyamuni's teaching of perfection of enlightenment for all sentient beings in the 9 realms. Unfortunately, over the last 200 to 300 years, some began to regard it as a religion. Then, in the past 20 to 30 years, it began to be viewed as a philosophy. However, the most disastrous of all is its distortion by some into a cult. These have seriously misled people away from the original teachings. If we commit ourselves to the practice, we need to clearly understand exactly what the Buddha taught us. A few years ago in San Francisco, I gave a talk titled To Understand Buddhism. Unfortunately, due to the 1.5 hour time constraint, I was unable to elaborate as much as I had wanted to. Then, several months later, Mr. David Chang invited me to Miami. He both hosted and provided the English translation for my 7-day lecture series on Buddhism titled To Understand Buddhism. The talks were videotaped at that time and later published. To understand the Buddha's teachings is our first and most basic lesson. Practicing Buddhism and not knowing what the goals are can reduce our practice to blind superstition. First, the Buddha is our teacher and not a god. Bodhisattvas are our senior classmates with whom we share equal status. Buddhism is an education. What does it teach? The Buddha's 49 years of teaching are recorded as sutras. These have been combined with sutra commentaries by great masters throughout history into a dense collection called the Buddhist Canon, of which there are over 30 versions in existence. These teachings explain the truth about life and the universe. Life refers to us, and the universe refers to our living environment and beyond. What is more relevant than to understand the relationship between the universe and us? Several years ago, I was lecturing to professors at the University of Beijing, Nanjing, and Liaoning. Upon learning that Buddhism is an education, my audience was astonished. Then, 2 years ago, I learned that there were 170 professors across China studying these teachings. This is a good sign. We ought to first change our perceptions and understand the nature of this unsurpassed education to fully benefit from it. The Buddha told us that an enlightened person is one who completely understands about life and the universe. A Buddha is a being who is perfectly enlightened, while a Bodhisattva, according to Master Xuan Tzuang, is an awakened sentient being. The element that differentiates us from Buddhas and Bodhisattvas is the state of consciousness or enlightenment. Enlightened beings are free and independent in any environment, while we are not. The Chinese have a saying: when one is constricted by society, one is unable to act according to one's will. For instance, almost everyone wishes to make a fortune in this lifetime. But look around. How many people's dreams have actually come true? Buddhist sutras have provided us with methods to achieve whatever we wish, to stay healthy, young, and happy, as well as to end the cycle of birth and death. Praying to the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, or spirits simply does not do it. The sutras have taught us the way to take control of our destiny. If we follow the teachings, we can have what we wish for. However, if we fail to achieve our objective or our goal, it is because we either have applied the wrong method or have misinterpreted the meanings within these sutras. At this point, folks, I'll stop and allow you to meditate, contemplate and reflect on these on this lesson this morning. And if you have any questions, why don't you contact me, c.aburime@hotmail.com or colorcollege@hotmail.com. These are my email addresses. Color is spelled British, C-O-L-O-U-R. colorcollege@hotmail.com or c.aburime. Aburime is my last name, A-B-U-R-I-M-E, c.aburime@hotmail.com. Enjoy the rest of the week. Don't work too hard for those who are working. Have a most pleasant week ahead of you. Namo Amitofo.